What is up, guys? I am Get Flanked, and since Dokkaebi was introduced in Operation White Noise, that phone call has become a familiar sound to defenders in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, most of the time, this phone call is harmless. You're able to shut it off and no harm is done. You just go back to defending. But the longer that Dokkaebi's out, the more we are seeing people use her very effectively and using that phone call very effectively. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about what you should do when you get a phone call from Dokkaebi, how you should handle that situation. Now, the way that we're going to do that in this video is we're going to go over some general theory when it comes to Dokkaebi's phone calls and the mindset you should have as a defender. And then we're going to show two clips, one of me handling Dokkaebi's phone call very poorly and I die because of it, and then the next where I handle it well. So getting into some general Dokkaebi concepts as far as that phone call is concerned. First of all, we have to realize that there's a big difference between a Dokkaebi call in the first 30 seconds of a round when the enemy isn't even close to the objective, and the last 15 seconds of a round when you're in like a 1v1 and you get the phone call at that situation. Those are two very different situations, and they have two different threat levels and two different ways you should handle those situations. So that's kind of the first concept there. You have to understand that not every Dokkaebi call is created equal, and not every Dokkaebi call has the same threat against you as a defender. Next, let's look at what a Dokkaebi hopes to accomplish with that phone call. How does that phone call help attackers? What can the attackers do to capitalize on that phone call? And I mean, there's a lot of different things. So if you are roaming and they call, then they might be using that phone call to see if there's anybody in the room next to them. Maybe they don't have any drones left and they want to see if there's any defenders close to them, and they'll be able to hear the phone call with the sound. Maybe they're using it because you're holding an angle that they want to push, and they want to get you off of that angle so that, you know, they can push that angle and try to, you know, get an advantage on you. Maybe they're using it to just distract you from any sound cues. Maybe they're getting ready to open a window or something and they want you distracted by looking at your phone. Maybe they're getting ready to push you and they want you to be defenseless while you're, you know, turning off the phone call and not able to shoot back at them. Now, obviously, that's just a few of the ways that attackers can benefit from that phone call. But really, as a defender, it comes down to two choices. Do you turn the phone call off, or do you wait to turn that phone call off? And sometimes it can be harder to make the right decision than it appears. You have to use all the information available to you to make that decision. And that's why I wanted to talk about the general mindset of a Dokkaebi and what the attackers can be trying to accomplish with that phone call, because that's really what you have to ask yourself when you get that phone call. You have to ask, what information do the attackers have right now, and what can they be trying to accomplish with this phone call? So with that in mind, if we go back to that first situation I mentioned earlier in the video, if you're an anchor and your phone rings in the first 30 seconds of a round and you haven't heard any attackers close to the objective, it's a no-brainer. Just turn the phone call off and go about your business. If you're a roamer in that situation and you just got droned out and they just opened the window next to you and your phone starts ringing, you might not want to turn that off right now. They might be doing that to push you. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. You have to analyze what the attackers are using that phone call for in every situation and what information they have and what they can benefit from with you trying to turn off your phone at that given moment. So with that in mind, let's get into the first clip that I want to show, and I'm just going to play it from the beginning of the action phase, and I'm not going to talk until that first phone call comes up so that we can analyze that situation.
Op 4 has located a bomb. Be ready for hostile action.
Reinforce the wall!
Okay, so there is the first phone call of the round, and it's about 40 seconds into the round. So as an anchor playing on site, that's pretty early into the round, and it probably isn't directed at me. But let's look at the information and what we have available. So I'm going to end up turning this phone call off immediately. And the reason for that is, one, the skylight there is my main area of concern. That's where they can push me from rather quickly. They can drop right down and put bullets on me. But look, there's a Grismont mine there. So as long as that Grismont mine's there and they drop, they're going to be stunned. I'm going to have the advantage on them. So I'm not overly concerned about that skylight right now. I'm more concerned about red stairs where I'm looking right now. Somebody could have come red stairs or that hatch. I can't tell if that has been opened yet or not. And they could have dropped that hatch or come up red stairs and then push that cigar doorway. So that's what I'm more concerned about right now. Now the windows behind me, I hadn't heard anybody rappelling there. They're still both barricaded. I hadn't been droned out that I've noticed, and I was just over at white stairs, so I don't feel like anybody's rushing up that. So that's why I feel comfortable turning the phone call off right now. It's early in the round, and I feel like I'm not being pushed. I don't feel like that phone call was directed at distracting me personally. Now pay attention, when I do turn off the phone call, I do get away from that line of sight from the doorway, just in case. I just get out of that line of sight, and I turn it off, and then I come back.
Nest ready.
Okay, so here is the second phone call of the round, and at this point there's about a minute left, and this is a much different circumstance for me as an anchor than that first phone call was. So I've been droned out twice. They also used a grenade to get rid of the barbed wire and the Grismont mine below Skylight. One of the drones came from Skylight, the other one came from White Stairs. So I basically know at this point they want to drop Skylight. The fact that they've droned me out also means that they know that I am over here. Now, even with all that information, I decided to go ahead and turn the phone off, and let's see how this turns out. Okay, so that was clearly a mistake. I should not have worried about my phone at that point. I had all of that information available to me, knowing that they were trying to drop Skylight, and with the phone call, I still decided to turn it off, and it gave Buck the perfect opportunity to drop down and get his sights up and get on me and get an easy kill. He ended up getting a two-piece. I think Smoke in the freezer there was turning his phone off as well. So that was a very effective use of the Dokkaebi phone call, but it would have been an easy kill for me had I just used all that information that I had and known that they were using that phone call to try to distract me. I could have killed Buck very easily and won the round. Okay, so let's get into this next clip, and some of you guys might recognize this clip. I've used it in a previous video, but I wanted to show it again because I think it's a perfect example of me handling that Dokkaebi phone call much, much better. So it's a similar situation. I'm playing as Rook, I'm playing as an anchor, and here in just a second, you're going to see a drone go through the hallway there, and I shoot at it. Now, they might not know exactly where I am now, but they do know that somebody's in there because I shot at that drone. So in just a second, you're going to see that I get the Dokkaebi phone call, but instead of turning it off immediately, I keep my sights on this door, knowing that somebody's likely to push. And sure enough, somebody does, and I get the easy kill there. Now I'm going to get up, I'm going to rotate, change my position, get behind cover, and then turn off the phone call. So what's the difference between those two clips? Well, in the first clip, I had all that information available to me. I saw them drop the grenade from Skylight to get rid of the barbed wire and the Grismont mine. I saw them drone me out twice, and I still chose to ignore all that information and turn off my phone immediately, making myself very susceptible. In the second clip, I saw them drone through. I knew that they knew that somebody was in there. And I used that information with the phone call to predict that somebody was getting ready to push me. And I was correct, and I got the kill, and we're going to end up winning this round because of that. So I think the big takeaway from this video, guys, is that when you are a defender and you get the Dokkaebi call, you have to put yourself in the attacker's shoes. What are they hoping to accomplish with this call? Is it a good idea to turn it off immediately, or should you wait? And the way that you're going to make that decision is by using all the information that's available throughout the course of that round. All the sound cues you have. Did you get droned out? Do you have good cover where you're at? All that's going to go into that decision, and you have to use all that in order to make the right decision in that circumstance. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll have more coming your way here soon.